Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cutting a path through the noise. We're diving deep into a source that's, well, part personal memoir, part guide. Really a kind of love letter to Black hair care. It maps this journey from, childhood damage to really intentional, lasting health.
Yeah, and our source is Blaize on Fire's book, How to Treat Your Hair from When Your Mama Permed It in the First Grade. It's quite insightful. And for you, the listener, our mission here is really to get past this idea that hair health is just about, like, the latest product.
Right.
Instead, we're unpacking that whole shift, away from damage, maybe some shame, towards genuine knowledge.
Healthy maintenance.
Exactly. The author's objective, it sounds simple, but it's actually pretty profound. To give people the knowledge they need to properly care for their hair, retain that critical moisture, and just, let it flourish.
And she really emphasizes that it doesn't matter if you wear protective styles like wigs, braids, weaves, or wear your hair out naturally.
The key is the foundation. Totally. The success hinges entirely on making sure that natural hair underneath is healthy. That's the non-negotiable part.
And that foundation, for her, it's deeply personal, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. She's a single mother, 6 daughters, 2 sons, and 4 grandkids. And she says quite explicitly that she wrote this book so they wouldn't have to go through that same cycle. The hair damage, the shame that followed, stuff she went through.
Wow.
This whole thing, it really stems from her own commitment, which started back in 2016, to just learn and embrace natural hair care for herself.
Okay, so let's unpack that journey then. Because her My Hair story, it's really crucial for understanding the emotional weight here. It lays out so clearly how outside judgments become these internal pressures.
Yeah.
And those pressures drive some big, sometimes damaging choices.
Definitely. We see she grew up, her hair usually just pulled back, ponytail, maybe 2 braids, sometimes straightened with a hot comb, which, can be harsh.
And the language used at home. That seems key.
It really was. Her mom apparently often called her hair coarse, nappy hair or thirsty hair. And those aren't just words, right? They're labels. Heavy ones.
Oh, totally dismissive. And that immediately sets up this, negative self-image. She basically internalized this idea that her hair was just inherently dry, bad, unmanageable.
Exactly. A sense of resignation about her own natural texture.
Which just paves the way for external pressure to hit harder, right?
Precisely. And that pressure really ramps up. The turning point came late 5th grade. A boy started bullying her consistently, specifically about her hair being ugly and plain.
Ugh. That kind of public humiliation, especially that age, it becomes a catalyst. She mentions trying to fight back tears until one day, just pure emotional defiance, she snapped back, told him his mouth smelled like funky cold Medina.
Hey, right. And that specific comeback, it's kind of funny, but also significant. It drew on the rapper Tone Loc, big hit back then, Funky Cold Medina.
Right, I remember that.
And the source says this unexpected clapback gave her this instant confidence boost, an accidental empowerment moment, you could say. And it immediately focused her energy on fixing what she saw as the source of her shame, her hair.
Which brings up that analytical question, doesn't it? How often are these early hair choices, especially chemical treatments, driven by that cultural pressure, that need for validation instead of what someone actually wants for themselves?
In her case, she immediately started begging for a chemical style. She wanted the leisure curl that her mother had.
Oh, okay, the leisure curl.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that, culturally speaking.
Yeah, it's important context. Unlike the older Jerry curl, which was known for being, well, greasy, very wet looking.
Drippy, yeah.
Exactly. The leisure curl was different. It was meant to be long, super curly, soft. It looked more natural, less messy. So when she finally got it, she loved it. Got compliments from her peers, validation. It wasn't drippy wet.
Okay, so success.
Yeah.
For a while, anyway.
Right. She watched her curls thrive, but then external forces strike again. The summer before 8th grade, her best friend apparently convinced her that only lames show up to high school with curls.
Oh no, peer pressure.
Huge pressure. She'd just moved back to Tallahassee, desperate to fit in with the local scene, the fashion. She panicked and begged her mom for a perm.
And the result?
Well, the consequence came fast, and it really illustrates the danger of making hair decisions based on fitting in, not knowledge. The perm gave her these deep waves, pretty for about 2 weeks, she says.
Okay, only 2 weeks.
Yeah. Then the waves started looking, stale, old, and the jokes started up again, which led to this really painful realization, the one that basically fuels the whole book. She had no idea how to maintain or care for her chemically treated hair.
That feeling, not knowing what to do, and that lack of knowledge sent her down this path, right? Years of different styles.
Exactly. Expensive, complicated styles, rotted ponytails, glue-ins, braids, weaves,
Sounds
wigs.
like covering it up.
Pretty much. Hiding the hair she didn't know how to manage. It's a cycle. Shame leads to hiding. Hiding costs money and effort, but doesn't solve the core problem.
Which was the lack of knowledge.
Absolutely. The lack of knowledge was the root cause of the continuous dissatisfaction, the expense. And that cycle finally breaks in 2016. That's when she decided to go natural and just dedicate herself to research, to really understanding healthy hair practices.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Moving from that personal story, which is so powerful, to the analytical framework she builds in the book. We can see how her painful journey gets distilled into these core principles for success.
Yeah, looking at the bigger picture, her guide is structured very intentionally. It starts with damage control, focuses right away on damage reversal. She dedicates real space in the book to tackling those historical culprits: perms, dyes, heat damage.
Makes sense. You have to know what you're fixing before you can build healthy habits.
Exactly, you need that diagnosis first. But the main goal, the overarching theme, is health and maintenance. She really hammers home that the primary objective is proper hair maintenance and, crucially, moisture retention. She actually titles that section Hydration.
Okay, let's pause on that. Moisture retention, hydration. Why is that so critical? Such a non-negotiable factor, specifically for black hair.
Right. It connects directly to the actual structure of the hair strand. Because of the tight curl pattern, the natural oil produced by the scalp, the sebum, it has a much harder time traveling down the hair shaft.
Okay, so it doesn't reach the ends easily.
Exactly. It struggles to moisturize the full length and especially the ends. This makes the hair just inherently more prone to dryness, and dryness leads to breakage. So for the author, hydration isn't just like a good idea, it's a structural necessity. You have to actively manage it to prevent damage.
That really puts her whole approach into context, especially the non-judgmental part about styles. She stresses you don't have to give up protective styles. Wigs, braids, fine. But health underneath those styles, that's the absolute must.
Mm-hmm. The knowledge of how to hydrate and maintain the hair, that's the real protective style. Doesn't matter if it's locked away in braids or out in an afro. The knowledge protects it, not the style itself.
So the knowledge is what stops that cycle of hiding you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. And because she went through such an intense period of self-study, trial and error, she actually started making her own products, which is fascinating. It gives us fantastic insight into how targeted natural ingredients can work for specific issues. This is where the knowledge really, pays off in a practical way.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Because the specific products she developed show this level of, scientific precision. You don't always see that in general. Hair guides, they aren't generic. They're super customized. Let's look at some examples. Maybe categorize them by function.
Good idea. So if we look at her focus on growth and ingredient focus, the list highlights some really potent natural aids. She features onion oil and rosemary oil, for instance.
Okay, onion oil, what's the thinking there?
Onion oil is particularly rich in sulfur, and sulfur helps with collagen production, which supports healthy hair follicles. Rosemary oil, well, that's more known. Some studies suggest it stimulates circulation in the scalp, potentially promoting growth.
Right, and then there's rice water. That one's become quite popular recently. But for anyone not familiar, what's its role in this kind of targeted routine?
Rice water, it's essentially a protein treatment. Think of it like that. When hair strands are damaged or brittle, often from those perms or heat damage she talks about, they lack protein, they lack elasticity.
Got it, they snap easily.
Right. So the rice water, used correctly, helps restore some of that protein balance, leading to potentially better elasticity, less breakage. She also includes her own standard hair growth oil and another one she named the Royal Love Hair Growth Treatment.
Okay, moving on to deep conditioning and detangling. These seem absolutely crucial for keeping length and avoiding that unmanageable feeling she started out with.
Oh, absolutely. This category is all about nourishing ingredients. She uses hair masks packed with powerful natural moisturizers, things like aloe, coconut, avocado, ginger, banana.
Wow, quite a blend.
Yeah, these combinations offer that deep penetration you need for intense hydration. And she also formulated a specific hair detangler and a hair detox treatment. She personalized both with the name Ado Ori Me.
I like that. Moving away from generic labels, giving them names with, care and cultural connection. Okay, finally, there's the focus on targeted scalp care. Vital, right, since the scalp is where it all begins.
Scalp health is completely non-negotiable for healthy hair, period. She tackles the common issue of dry scalp directly with a scalp balm, describes it as grease for hair growth and dry scalp, and she offers it in super and mild strengths.
Practical, recognizing different needs.
Exactly. It's a practical acknowledgement that people need different levels of occlusive moisture. And then for really acute irritation like itchiness, she created So Soothing. It's described as a medicated balm specifically for an itchy scalp.
This shows such an incredibly tailored approach. It's really specific. So given how specific these ingredients and functions are, what's the key takeaway for the average person listening? Is it that you have to start making your own onion oil? Or is the deeper lesson more about knowing the types of ingredients, knowing what treatments address your specific hair needs?
That's a great distinction. Yeah, the takeaway isn't necessarily that you have to become a DIY chemist, although, hey, you could if you want. The much deeper lesson is gaining the knowledge to first identify the problem, let's say lack of elasticity, and then knowing that, okay, a protein treatment, maybe something like rice water, is the functional solution for that problem.
Oh, okay. So it empowers you.
Exactly. It empowers you to either buy the right product intelligently or maybe make it yourself. It transforms you from just a passive consumer, hoping something works, into an informed manager of your own hair health.
That's a powerful shift. And it's fascinating, isn't it? The author's whole journey started with that painful, humiliating childhood label, nappy, thirsty hair. And it ends with her becoming this expert guide, even a product maker, for others.
It's an incredible transformation.
This deep dive really confirms that prioritizing knowledge, truly understanding your hair's structural needs, and focusing on its health, that's the ultimate strategy against all that external pressure and shame.
Yeah, the source material really reminds us that the conversation around black hair, it's often much less about chasing the perfect temporary style and far more about dismantling those old damaging narratives of shame and prioritizing health and detailed knowledge, really, from the inside out.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Think about it. The author's personal story kicked off with this moment of deep humiliation, which she later channeled into this mission, educating her daughters, her grandkids. If you take that lesson and apply it beyond hair, where else in your life could you maybe stop hiding something you feel shame about? Maybe it's a skill you think you lack or a perceived weakness, a personal challenge.
Yeah.
What if, instead of hiding, you chose to study it, embrace it, nurture it with targeted knowledge until it flourishes?
That shift, right, from hiding to actively learning, that really is the most powerful protective style you can have in any area of life.